long before the first light of the sun touched the lands of Arda, there was music. It was not of air or water, but of thought, of intention, of pure harmony flowing through the void. Iluvatar, the One, wove melodies that resonated across nothingness, and from these melodies came the Aenir, spirits of light, of wisdom, of patience beyond time. They sang together, and their song shaped mountains, rivers, and skies, crafting a world that shimmered with possibility. Beneath this music, threads of shadow and light were drawn, destined to intertwine in ways the melodies themselves hinted at, but could not fully reveal. The Aenir walked the world in thought and vision before it was even stone or soil. Their songs echoed across plains that had yet to exist, whispering life into forests, wind into mountains, and silver glimmers into the first waters. Some notes brought joy, bright and soaring, like the laughter of future elves. Others trembled with warning, a reminder that shadow would always seek to entwine itself with light. Even in those earliest hours, the balance of creation was not perfection, but a fragile harmony in which hope and despair coexisted like twin rivers, flowing endlessly. When the Valor descended into the shaping of Arda, they brought intention to the melodies. Mountains rose as a note of strength. Oceans expanded like the depth of a bass line. Forests thickened as the gentle murmurs of wind through leaves. The two trees of Valinor glimmered silver and gold, spilling light across lands, yet untouched by mortal eyes. And yet, beauty and light invited envy. Melkor, the mightiest of the Aenir, shaped shadows within the lands, seeking to bend creation to his will. His whispers moved through forests and mountains, subtle at first, but persistent, weaving fear and desire into the hearts of those who would later dwell upon Arda. Amid this interplay of light and shadow, life began to take root. The elves awoke beneath starlight, stretching their senses to the songs of the world. Their laughter became the first music of living beings, harmonizing with the remnants of the Aenir's notes. Dwarves carved deep into mountains, their hammers echoing in rhythm with the slow heartbeat of stone. And in distant valleys, the earliest men stirred, uncertain of the melodies, but drawn toward the world with curiosity and courage. Even the winds and rivers seemed attuned to these fledgling lives, carrying hints of wisdom and memory from the songs that had first shaped the universe. Shadows gathered quietly, threading through the light like smoke drifting across moonlit plains. Sauron, cunning and patient, observed the works of the elves and men, and in the darkness of hidden places, he forged his first schemes. He whispered promises of power, beauty, and permanence into eager ears, concealing a malice that would span millennia. Yet the elves sensed the subtle dissonance, crafting rings of protection and preservation, small beacons of light within the growing gloom. The world was alive with tension, a delicate dance of hope against inevitability, of courage against the creeping shadow. Rivers carried stories of ancient deeds, even before they were spoken aloud. Mountains remembered the shaping of the first forests, and the winds whispered of the falling of great trees and the rise of stars. The Ainer's music lingered, hidden in every bird call, every rustle of leaves, every shimmer of starlight. Those who listened carefully could feel the echoes of creation, a gentle reminder that even in darkness, beauty and order persisted. And so time moved, patient and eternal. Ages passed where heroes would rise quietly, sometimes unnoticed, their deeds rippling across lands in ways that only later generations would understand. Beren and Luthien, Fingolfin and Fëanor, figures of shadow and light alike, walked paths that would be sung in silence for countless years. Shadows receded only to return, the pulse of darkness and light intertwined like the slow rhythm of a lullaby, carrying the weight of hope and despair together in a melody older than memory itself. The first light of Arda touched the waters and forests, glinting upon the leaves of trees that had never known shadow. The elves walked among them, their footsteps a song of wonder, their voices blending with the faint echoes of the Ainer's music. They named the rivers and mountains, the winds and stars, and in nomming, they wove a deeper connection between their hearts and the world itself. Yet, even as their joy blossomed, the shadow lingered at the edges, a quiet whisper in places untouched by the sun. In distant mountains, dwarves carved halls of stone, deep and resonant. Their hammers struck in rhythm, a counterpoint to the elves' soft melodies, each spark of iron singing with a subtle brilliance. They built homes that could endure the slow march of time, halls that would hold treasures and secrets for ages yet unborn. And in the valleys, men stirred, young and uncertain, guided by curiosity more than wisdom. Their eyes saw the beauty of Arda. Their hearts felt both awe and desire. And in that combination, the earliest tales of courage and failure began to unfold. Among these lands, the shadow gathered patience. Sauron, a being of cunning and subtlety, learned the ways of influence, planting thoughts in the minds of those who would seek power for themselves. He whispered of dominion and glory, and in small seeds of ambition, he sowed the future of sorrow. Yet every whisper of shadow was met with a response of light, the elves who recognized the malice, the dwarves who protected their realms, the men who would rise in courage. Every age, every step of time, became a silent duel of intentions, moving through the lands like currents beneath a calm sea. In Valinor, the two trees shone with brilliance. Tulperion and Laurelin poured light over gardens untouched by fear. The Valar watched with careful attention, nurturing the world's balance, while mourning the encroaching envy of Melkor. It was from these trees that hope first shone like a beacon, a promise that even when shadows touched the world, there remained a source of guidance and illumination. The last light of the trees eventually gave rise to the sun and moon, their glow traveling across the continents, offering warmth and rhythm to the days of men and elves alike. The first whispers of history were not recorded in words, but in the movements of life. Rivers carved their courses with memory of ancient mountains. Trees spread their branches with wisdom from silent centuries. The stars themselves, set in the skies by the Ainer's song, became guardians of time, turning slowly as witnesses to every rise and fall, every joy and sorrow. Even in darkness, their faint light reminded those who watched of the melodies that had brought the world into being, soft guidance for those who dared to dream and hope. From these times, heroes would arise, Baron, who risked all to reclaim a Silmaril, walked with quiet determination, while Luthien's courage shone like the first light of morning. Fingolfin, defiant against Morgoth's might, carved paths of honor and memory into the lands. These deeds, though distant in time, echoed endlessly, a rhythm of courage and sacrifice woven into the very essence of Arda. And wherever shadow attempted to dominate, resistance emerged, subtle, patient, unwavering, in forests, mountains, and hearts alike. Even in the depths of darkness, the music of creation persisted. The Ainer's melodies, though distant, resonated within the earth and sky, within hearts attuned to the harmony of life. Shadows could never fully silence the song, though they might distort its cadence. And so, across ages, the balance endured, fragile but persistent, carried forward by those willing to listen and act, even when the world seemed quiet and still. The lands of Middle-earth stretched wide, shaped by the patient hands of the valor, and tempered by the slow march of time. Forests thickened with the passage of centuries, mountains hardened into steadfast guardians of the earth, and rivers traced their winding courses like threads of memory, remembering every footstep of the beings who walked beside them. In these lands, the elves continued to flourish, their cities glimmering with light, their songs drifting softly over hills and valleys. Yet wherever light touched, shadow followed, quiet and cunning, moving like smoke along the edges of awareness. In the distant lands of Numenor, men rose tall and proud. Their cities gleamed, white stone reflecting the sun, a testament to ambition, courage, and wisdom. They reached toward greatness, exploring the seas, building marvels of architecture, and striving for knowledge that surpassed the mere grasp of survival. Yet, within hearts noble and true, the seed of pride could take root. Whispers of forbidden desire and longing for dominion were carried across oceans, subtle and persistent, threatening the balance of all that had been achieved. The shadow, patient and cunning, lingered in unseen corners, waiting for moments of weakness, waiting for humanity's errors to tip the scales. Meanwhile, in hidden realms, the elves crafted their rings of power. Subtle and brilliant, these rings embodied protection and preservation, a counterpoint to the creeping influence of shadow. Celebrimbor, skilled and wise, guided these creations with care, ensuring that even as Sauron's malice grew, light remained untouched in secret places. The three rings, Narya, Nenya, and Vilya, glimmered with quiet power, their influence silent yet enduring. In the forests of Lothlorien and the halls of Rivendell, they preserved beauty and wisdom, nurturing hope for ages yet to come. In the east, shadows stirred. Sauron, patient and relentless, shaped his designs with a subtle hand. The One Ring, forged in secret, bound the fate of all others. Its presence, invisible yet potent, exerted influence across lands and hearts, whispering promises of power, perfection, and dominion. Those who encountered its trace felt unease, a pull they could neither name nor resist. The world seemed ordinary in day, but at night, under starlight and moon glow, the weight of unseen malice pressed lightly upon the lands. Even in joy and laughter, the tension of shadow lingered, an ever-present murmur beneath the melody of creation. Through forests, mountains, and rivers, heroes walked. Their deeds, though small in appearance, echoed across the ages. Courageful whispers of defiance spread like winds through the hills. Luthien's song calmed fears and lifted hearts. Baron's quiet determination pierced the veil of despair. Fingolfin faced overwhelming darkness, yet his resilience inspired all who would remember. And in quiet corners of the world, those unrecorded in grand histories, shepherds, craftsmen, wanderers, carried the same flame of persistence, their lives a testament to endurance, hope, and subtle resistance. Even the stars above seemed to participate in this silent interplay. Each night, they turned slowly, their light carrying tales of creation, echoing the first music of the Aenir. The constellations shifted imperceptibly over centuries, as though dancing to the rhythm of both shadow and light. Travelers used their guidance to find safe paths. Those who paused to observe felt the weight of history and the gentle reassurance of continuity. Within these celestial lights, the harmony of the world persisted, reminding all who would listen that the music of Arda never truly ended. And yet, the shadow never relented. From Mordor, Sauron's gaze swept across lands and seas. His influence manifested not only through war, but through fear, deception, and the bending of hearts. Empires could fall not only by sword, but by ambition corrupted and trust betrayed. The world trembled in small, subtle ways, as though every stone and river remembered the ongoing contest between light and darkness. And still, the melody of hope endured, hidden in quiet songs, in patient vigilance, in acts of bravery small and large. As the ages turned, whispers of shadow became more pronounced. Sauron's influence spread like a dark mist, seeping into the hearts of kings and common folk alike, twisting desire into ambition and ambition into greed. Yet, in quiet places, resistance endured. Elves moved silently through forests, their eyes ever watchful, their songs a balm against the creeping fear. Dwarves, hidden in stone halls deep beneath mountains, continued their patient craftsmanship, forging artifacts of strength and beauty, small bulwarks against despair. Even men, though sometimes swayed by folly, found courage in the unity of purpose and the bonds of kinship. It was in these times that the forging of the great rings of power became the pivot of fate. Elves in a region, under the careful guidance of Celebrimbor, created rings of light and preservation, subtle and brilliant. Sauron, disguised as Annatar, the Lord of Gifts, offered guidance that concealed malice. His teachings were like a shadowed song, seductive and compelling. With secret hands, he forged the One Ring, pouring a part of his own essence into it, binding all other rings to his will. Its influence stretched invisibly across lands, unseen yet deeply felt. The elves sensed the change, withdrawing their 3 rings and guarding them with silent vigilance, preserving light and hope in hidden sanctuaries. Meanwhile, the lands of Numenor prospered, their kings wise, their ships spanning seas, their cities gleaming under the sun. Yet even greatness carries vulnerability. The shadow whispered into hearts, bending pride toward hubris, shaping fear into desire for dominion. From the heights of ornate halls to the quiet of private chambers, ambitions unfurled like tendrils, subtle and insidious. The downfall of Numenor came quietly yet inexorably, waves rising to claim the land, leaving only memories and stories carried by those who survived. The echoes of their courage, fear, and hope resonated in the hearts of men for generations. In lands far from the seas, the elves and men endured the spread of darkness with quiet resilience. Forests whispered of unseen watchers, mountains bore the memory of countless footsteps, rivers carried the song of time itself. Heroes emerged in subtle, unrecorded ways, their deeds blending with the rhythm of the world. Some, like Beren and Luthien, faced impossible odds with courage shaped by love and purpose. Others, like Fingolfin, stood defiant against overwhelming darkness, their presence a melody of resistance woven into the fabric of Arda. The One Ring, heavy with will and malice, traveled through the world like a shadowy river, touching hearts and places in ways visible only in hindsight. Those who held it felt its weight, a tug at desire and fear, a lure toward choices that would ripple across ages. Yet for every step toward corruption, there was an act of quiet defiance, a refusal, a secret protection, a song or whispered counsel that countered the shadow's influence. These small resistances, invisible to the casual eye, became the foundation upon which the larger battles of history were fought. Even the smallest creatures of the world played their parts. Hobbits, humble and often unnoticed, walked paths others would overlook. Their courage was not marked by grandeur or displays of power, but by steadiness, loyalty, and a deep, unassuming wisdom. In quiet homes and hidden glades, the strength of ordinary beings provided the subtle currents that sustained hope, ensuring that the melodies of light and shadow remained balanced. Their laughter, their tears, their quiet determination echoed across hills and forests, soft yet enduring, blending with the ongoing rhythm of Arda's music. The stars above, eternal and distant, bore witness to these struggles. Their light, unchanged by time, traced the slow turning of ages, a constant reminder of the harmony and dissonance that shaped the world below. Travelers, wandering beneath these celestial lights, felt the weight of history, the pull of destiny, and the gentle reassurance that even in darkness, the song of creation persisted. The melodies of the Aner lingered in quiet places, in the rustle of leaves, the murmur of rivers, the sigh of wind across distant peaks. All of creation, even in shadowed moments, resonated with this subtle, enduring harmony. The lands of Middle-earth grew ever more restless as shadows gathered in distant places. Mountains stood as silent sentinels, their peaks glinting under starlight, while forests whispered among themselves, sharing stories older than any living being. The rivers carried songs of time and memory, winding through valleys where light and shadow intertwined in delicate harmony. In these lands, heroes moved quietly, often unnoticed, yet their presence shaped the fate of many. Among these heroes were those who would come to bear the weight of destiny in ways unimaginable. Small folk, unassuming and humble, walked paths untouched by grandeur, yet within them burned courage untested by the world, pure and steadfast. Their laughter, simple and true, became a melody that wove itself into the fabric of the lands, a quiet defiance against the ever-encroaching darkness. Even the smallest deeds, a word of comfort, an act of mercy, a shield held when needed most, carried the power to shift the course of history. In distant valleys, the elves preserved their sanctuaries. Lothlorien glimmered with golden leaves. Rivendell hummed softly with wisdom and counsel, and each place resonated with subtle power. The rings of power, hidden and protected, maintained their quiet influence, a source of hope and endurance against Sauron's designs. Celebrimber's craftsmanship, though wrought in ages past, continued to echo in every protective charm, every silent ward, every song that drifted across the air. The elves, vigilant and patient, became stewards of both memory and light, ensuring that even as the world tilted toward shadow, there remained places untouched by despair. Yet the shadow's touch was persistent. Sauron's gaze, unseen yet ever present, swept across lands and hearts alike. Through whispered lies, through subtle corruption, through fear and ambition, he extended his influence. Cities rose and fell, kingdoms teetered on the edge of ruin, and even the wisest among men felt the tug of uncertainty. Battles were fought not only with sword and shield, but with patience, cunning, and courage. Every small act of resistance, a word spoken in warning, a hand raised in protection, a journey undertaken despite peril, became a note in the symphony of opposition that challenged the shadow. The One Ring, hidden and heavy with power, moved quietly through the world. Its presence, invisible to the unseeing eye, tugged at hearts with subtle insistence. Those who encountered it felt an unease they could not name, a shadow pressing softly upon their choices. And yet, within that pressure, courage emerged. The unlikeliest of beings, small, humble, yet enduring, carried the burden with determination. The weight of destiny rested upon them, not as a force of oppression, but as a challenge to endure and persevere, to rise when the world seemed dark and insurmountable. As the journey unfolded, friendships formed across differences, bonds strengthened through hardship, and hope persisted in places untouched by glory. The fellowship, though scattered in purpose and path, carried the essence of resistance. In every quiet step, in every whispered plan, in every act of sacrifice, they echoed the melodies of creation, harmonizing with the enduring song of the Aner. Even in despair, their courage resonated, creating patterns that intertwined with the movements of mountains, the flow of rivers, and the steady turn of the stars above. The natural world itself seemed to respond to these efforts. Trees grew taller, roots entwined deeper, and rivers ran clearer, as if lending strength to those who walked upon their banks. Birds carried songs that spoke of patience and endurance. Winds moved gently across plains and valleys, carrying whispers of guidance and memory. Even the night sky, with its eternal constellations, offered quiet counsel to travelers, a celestial rhythm that reminded all who looked upon it that the music of creation remained constant and enduring, even amidst the trials of shadow and time. The shadow's presence grew heavier in lands, both near and far. Mountains whispered with the memory of countless battles. Forests trembled with the silent steps of watchful creatures, and rivers murmured the passing of deeds, both small and great. The One Ring, hidden yet potent, moved through hands and hearts, its influence shaping choices and bending wills. Even those of pure intent could feel its tug, a quiet pull toward power, fear, or despair, subtle but insistent. And yet, for every step the shadow pressed forward, courage emerged in quiet, unassuming ways. In the forests and valleys, the small and humble rose to the challenge. Hobbits, often overlooked, carried the burden of destiny with hearts untainted by ambition or pride. Frodo, determined and steadfast, bore the weight of the ring with a quiet courage that resonated across the lands. Sam, loyal and unwavering, walked beside him, a steadfast companion whose presence became a lifeline against the ever-encroaching darkness. Together, they journeyed through forests, mountains, and rivers, their path perilous, yet guided by an invisible rhythm, the lingering song of the Aner carried in their hearts. The fellowship, diverse in origin and purpose, moved with subtle coordination, each step an echo of the melodies of creation. Aragorn, the heir of ancient kings, carried wisdom tempered by patience. Legolas, with eyes sharp and mind calm, navigated forests and shadowed halls. Gimli, steadfast and strong, lent courage through his resilience and enduring spirit. Each member's contribution, whether visible or hidden, wove into the larger tapestry of resistance, harmonizing with the world around them. The shadow sought to divide and conquer, yet it could not extinguish the quiet bonds of loyalty and love. Battles arose not only on open fields, but in whispers, in choices, in the steadfast refusal to yield to fear. Paths crossed and separated, dangers emerged where least expected, yet each challenge became an opportunity for courage to manifest. Even the smallest act, a shield lifted, a whispered warning, a moment of compassion, carried weight far beyond its immediate effect, rippling across forests, mountains, and rivers. Mountains themselves seemed to remember, their stone silent witnesses to the unfolding of destiny. Winds carried stories of valor and loss, and rivers, long and patient, flowed with the memory of countless deeds. The forests held both light and shadow, each tree a sentinel, each leaf a reminder that balance must be maintained. The elves' sanctuaries offered refuge and counsel, their songs a gentle resistance against the tides of despair. Lithlorien glimmered with golden light, Rivendell hummed with wisdom, and hidden valleys sheltered those who carried hope into the darkest places. As the journey progressed, the weight of the One Ring pressed more insistently. Its presence was a melody of power and malice, a subtle dissonance that threatened to overwhelm the hearts of those who bore it. And yet, the courage of the humble shone brighter than the lure of dominion. Frodo's resolve, tempered by Sam's unwavering support, became a beacon, a quiet note of hope resonating through shadowed lands. Across plains and rivers, the deeds of the few carried a harmony that balanced the creeping discord of the ring, a reminder that even the smallest light could pierce darkness. The world itself seemed to respond to these efforts. Rivers carried songs of resilience, forests breathed patience, and mountains stood as guardians, their presence steady and enduring. Birds sang melodies of guidance, winds whispered encouragement, and the stars above traced their silent courses, offering quiet counsel to travelers and heroes alike. Every step, every choice, every act of courage intertwined with the music of creation, echoing the timeless rhythms of Arda and the enduring struggle between shadow and light. The shadow gathered in Mordor, thick and oppressive, a weight pressing upon the lands near and far. Mountains trembled with the memory of old wars, rivers hissed quietly as if recalling sorrowful deeds, and forests shivered with a subtle awareness of approaching peril. The One Ring, heavy with will and malice, seemed almost alive, its presence pressing insistently upon the hearts of those who bore it. Frodo felt its weight as a tangible burden, a melody of corruption and desire that threatened to drown all hope. Yet Sam's steadfast loyalty, quiet and unwavering, countered that influence, a harmony of courage woven into the song of Arda. Mount Doom loomed as both destination and trial, the heart of shadow concentrated into stone and fire. The path was treacherous, filled with unseen dangers and echoes of despair. Every step forward carried the resonance of centuries, the struggles of the elves, the wisdom of the dwarves, the resilience of men, and the quiet courage of hobbits who walked paths untouched by fame. Even the winds seemed to whisper encouragement, soft murmurs guiding the travelers through shadowed lands, tracing invisible threads of the Ainur's original music. The lands beyond Mordor were alive with tension. Mountains bore silent witness to battles fought on plains and hills. Forests held secrets of whispered strategies and covert rescues, and rivers carried the memory of sacrifices that would echo through ages. The fellowship, though separated by fate and circumstance, contributed to the melody of resistance. Aragorn's leadership, Legola's keen vigilance, Gimli's steadfast courage, and the quiet acts of those who remained unseen, all blended into a rhythm that countered the oppressive pulse of shadow. Within the black heart of Mordor, the ring's influence grew stronger, tugging at Frodo with every step. It spoke to desire and fear, weaving illusions of power and domination, subtle yet insistent. And yet, the weight of friendship, loyalty, and courage countered its pull. Sam's hand on Frodo's shoulder whispered words of encouragement, and the memory of all who had endured before them formed a melody of resistance, soft yet persistent, a counterpoint to the dissonance of the ring. Finally, at the edge of the fiery chasm, the culmination of all ages drew near. Frodo, standing on the precipice of destiny, felt the shadow's full force, yet within him burned the faintest glimmer of hope. Every step, every choice, every act of courage along the long path now converged into a single moment. The One Ring, embodiment of greed and corruption, met its destruction in the fire, and with it, the weight of malice lifted. Shadow recoiled, retreating into memory and legend, leaving the lands to breathe, to heal, and to remember. Across Middle-earth, the effects of the ring's destruction rippled quietly, yet profoundly. Mountains seemed to rise taller, forests breathed with renewed life, and rivers sang with clarity and strength. The elves, their tasks completed, prepared to depart, their songs lingering like echoes in the twilight. Men inherited the lands, carrying the wisdom of past struggles, the knowledge that even in triumph, patience and care were essential. Dwarves returned to their halls, their craftsmanship a testament to endurance and hope, while hobbits, though small, carried the memory of courage and resilience that would resonate for generations. The natural world itself joined in quiet celebration. Winds whispered softly across plains, carrying tales of bravery, loss, and endurance. Birds lifted their songs higher, rivers sparkled in renewed light, and stars traced their eternal paths across skies once heavy with shadow. Even the night seemed gentler, a lullaby for those who had endured, a reminder that balance had returned, and that the music of creation, though tested, persisted without end. And so the age of men began, quiet yet profound, filled with the lingering memory of light and shadow, courage and fear, despair and hope. The melodies of the Aenir remained, faint yet constant, woven into rivers, mountains, forests, and the hearts of those who walked the lands. The stories of heroes, great and humble, continued to echo, soft as a lullaby, yet enduring beyond the reach of time, carrying all who listened gently into dreams that stretched across ages, vast as the world itself. The lands of Middle-earth moved with subtle continuity, as if breathing in time with the enduring melodies of creation. Valleys stretched under the sun, rivers meandered with quiet persistence, and forests whispered softly among themselves. Every leaf, every stone, and every ripple of water seemed to carry memories, echoes of courage, loyalty, and hope that had shaped the world long before the present age. Even in remote glades and hidden corners, the quiet song of life continued, undisturbed and patient, a lullaby of enduring harmony. In the Shire, life unfolded with gentle grace. Hobbits tended gardens, walked paths familiar yet ever-changing with the seasons, and shared meals and laughter with friends. Frodo, reflective and serene, moved among them carrying the quiet memory of journeys endured. Sam nurtured both soil and spirit, his steadfast presence a gentle anchor for all around him. Even in ordinary moments, the rhythm of daily life became infused with quiet heroism, planting a seed, mending a path, telling a story, each act a note in the enduring melody of the land. Beyond the Shire, men rebuilt cities and kingdoms with care and foresight. Streets and marketplaces reflected thoughtfulness, sunlight glinting on stone and timber shaped with purpose. Leaders remembered the lessons of history, the dangers of pride, the weight of responsibility, and the subtle interplay of light and shadow. Citizens moved through daily life with patience and awareness, their choices guided by the quiet memory of heroism that had come before. Even the smallest interactions, a word of counsel, a shared moment of care, carried significance, resonating through the harmony of the lands. Dwarves, deep beneath mountains, continued their craftsmanship. Hammers rang, sparks flew, and stone was shaped with precision and care. Every creation, from the smallest ornament to the grandest hall, carried the memory of resilience and courage. Their labor harmonized with the world above: forests, rivers, and mountains, contributing subtle melodies that wove into the broader tapestry of Middle-earth. Though often unseen by travelers, the dwarves' work endured, preserving the essence of hope and perseverance across generations. Forests responded with gentle animation, their trees whispering softly to one another, leaves rustling with echoes of the past. Rivers glimmered, carrying reflections of courage and endurance, meandering through plains and valleys. Winds brushed softly over grasses, flowers, and stone, carrying subtle guidance from place to place. Birds sang in harmonies that intertwined with rustling leaves and flowing waters, creating melodies that resonated through hills and mountains. Even the smallest creatures moved with intention, blending seamlessly into the rhythm of the world. Each life a note in the enduring song of Arda. The stars, eternal and patient, traced silent arcs across the night sky, witnessing centuries of triumph, loss, and perseverance. Travelers beneath their glow felt the weight of history and the gentle comfort of continuity. The music of the Aenir lingered in every wind, leaf, river, and stone, teaching patience, courage, and enduring hope. This eternal melody became a soft lullaby, guiding hearts toward reflection and calm, instilling a sense of safety and peace, even in moments of uncertainty. Though the elves' magic faded from Middle-earth, its traces remained in subtle beauty. Songs lingered in glades, waters reflected faint glimmers of ancient light, and mountains carried echoes of those who had walked their heights. These remnants of wonder served as quiet teachers, reminding those who paused that memory, wisdom, and guidance persisted. Comfort, reflection, and gentle reassurance emanated from every element of the world, a lullaby that soothed hearts and minds alike. Through every valley, forest, river, and nightlit sky, the stories of heroism and endurance persisted. Shadows remained as reminders of vigilance. Light endured through acts both grand and humble, and every living being carried traces of courage within. The world hummed softly, balanced, and harmonious, offering a lullaby to all who dwelled within its embrace. Mountains, forests, rivers, and stars carried memory and melody, a song of calm, hope, and enduring peace, guiding hearts and minds gently into dreams beneath the eternal sky. Morning light stretched gently across the hills of the Shire, softening dew-laden grass into a carpet of silver and green. Birds lifted their songs high into the warming air, melodies weaving through the branches of old oaks and maples, while a gentle breeze carried the scent of freshly turned soil and blooming flowers. Hobbits moved quietly among gardens and fields, small figures bent with care over rows of vegetables, flowers, and herbs, their movements deliberate, yet full of unspoken joy. Frodo walked along the riverbank, the water whispering past his feet with its usual serenity. Though his travels were behind him, his mind carried the soft hum of memory, a recollection of fires, mountains, and shadowed paths, yet tempered by the enduring warmth of friendship. Sam followed closely, basket in hand, humming a tune that seemed to harmonize with the river itself. Their conversation was minimal, words chosen carefully, not from a need to speak, but from a shared understanding that silence could hold as much meaning as speech. Beyond the Shire, in the northern forests, a soft rustle marked the movement of a lone traveler, an elf, quiet as the morning mist, tracing old paths through trees whose roots had been there for ages. Every step he took was deliberate, reverent, as though walking not only through the present, but across the memory of centuries. His eyes caught glimpses of subtle beauty, a squirrel pausing to inspect a fallen acorn, a deer lifting its head to meet the morning light, the sun glinting on dew crystals clinging to moss. These small wonders, unnoticed by most, reminded him of the persistence of life, of balance, and of hope. In the mountains, dwarves labored with quiet concentration. Hammers rang, sparks flew, and stone was carved with precision, each echo resonating through the halls and into the mountains beyond. Deep beneath the rock, tunnels opened to chambers adorned with intricate patterns and faint glimmers of gemstones. Though the work was arduous, it was also rhythmic, almost meditative, a dance of craft and memory. Each creation carried stories, not told in words, but in the careful shaping of stone and metal, stories of endurance, patience, and courage. Rivers meandered through valleys, untouched by recent conflicts, their waters clear and steady. Fish glided beneath the surface, their movements creating soft ripples, while willows dipped their branches to touch the water, swaying as though in quiet conversation. Travelers paused along these banks, listening to the melody of flowing water, the gentle sigh of the wind through the leaves, and the distant song of birds. Even the quietest corners of Middle-earth held traces of ancient adventures, of deeds performed in shadow, and of victories won not with sword or fire, but with courage, loyalty, and hope. High above, stars traced their silent, patient arcs across the sky. Night came gently, draping the lands in soft shadow and silver light. Those who paused to watch felt a subtle connection, an understanding that time, though vast and unending, was stitched with the small actions of countless beings. From the smallest hobbit to the greatest king, from wandering elf to steadfast dwarf, every life contributed a note to the melody of the world. Shadows remained, faint reminders of vigilance, yet light persisted, steady and enduring, guiding hearts with gentle certainty. Even magic, now fading into the quiet corners of Middle-earth, left its mark. Faint glimmers shimmered on the river's surface. Subtle echoes of elven song lingered in hidden groves, and mountains carried quiet traces of ancient power. These remnants offered reassurance, a soft lullaby to those who listened, reminding all that memory, wisdom, and hope persisted beyond the passing of time. It was in these gentle whispers, a leaf turning, a river's ripple, a star's glimmer, that the true melody of the world resided, subtle and constant, calming all who paused to hear it. And so, as the day gave way to evening, Middle-earth moved with quiet rhythm. Mountains, forests, rivers, and plains breathed together in a harmony both delicate and profound. Every leaf, every stone, every ripple of water carried echoes of courage, humility, and love. The songs of heroes, both great and humble, echoed softly through the land, offering guidance and reflection. In this lullaby of life, all who dwelled within the world were invited to rest, to dream, and to carry the gentle rhythm of hope and balance into the quiet of night. Twilight settled softly over the plains, brushing the tips of the grasses with amber light. In the quiet of evening, shadows lengthened, yet there was no sense of fear, only the gentle awareness of passage, of time moving with patient grace. Rivers mirrored the sky, carrying streaks of gold and rose as they flowed past willows and reeds. The air held the faint scent of blossoms, dew, and the richness of the earth, a reminder that life persisted in both the grand and the minute. In a small valley, Frodo and Sam walked along a worn path lined with wildflowers, their feet brushing against soft moss. They spoke rarely, letting the rhythm of their footsteps match the gentle cadence of the world around them. Each hill they passed seemed to nod with quiet memory, every tree and stone carrying a whisper of past deeds, victories, and sacrifices that had shaped the lands. Even in silence, the presence of courage and friendship was palpable, a steady undercurrent in the river of life. Far to the east, a young elf wandered among the towering trees of a hidden forest, her eyes catching glimmers of sunlight through leaves like fragments of ancient song. She paused beside a glade where a small stream bubbled over moss-covered rocks, the sound a gentle counterpoint to her thoughts. In that moment, she felt the pulse of the land, a rhythm older than any living being, sustained through countless ages of light and shadow. She listened quietly, learning that the world's quietest places often carried the deepest lessons. High in the mountains, dwarves labored with patient diligence. Hammers struck stone in soft rhythms, sparks dancing like tiny stars in dimly lit halls. Each sculpture and carved hall echoed with the memory of endurance and care, every chamber a sanctuary of thoughtfulness and craft. Even in the smallest carvings, the essence of persistence and courage could be found, a silent testimony that even the humblest work contributes to the greater harmony of the world. Rivers carried the history of all who had walked beside them, each ripple a reflection of time's passage. Fish glided gracefully beneath the surface, occasionally leaping to catch the sparkle of sunlight, while willows brushed their long fingers along the water, swaying as if to the rhythm of an unseen song. Travelers paused to drink from the clear waters or rest in the shade of an overhanging branch, feeling the subtle reassurance that life, gentle, enduring, and patient, persisted. As night fell, the stars emerged one by one, their faint glow painting the sky with constellations known to elves, men, and dwarves alike. Those who looked upward felt a connection to generations long gone and to the enduring pulse of creation itself. The music of the Aner lingered in the rustle of leaves, the murmur of rivers, and the distant sigh of the wind. Shadows, though present, served only as gentle teachers of vigilance, reminding travelers to act with courage, patience, and awareness. Magic, though faint, still whispered in hidden corners. Rivers glimmered with faint reflections of elven light. Distant forests hummed with memories of ancient song, and mountains carried the quiet weight of ages past. These subtle traces offered reassurance, a gentle lullaby that invited reflection and rest. Every whisper of wind, every shifting leaf, and every flicker of light became a note in the melody of the world, a melody that carried calm and hope to all who paused to hear it. In the quiet of night, Middle-earth seemed to breathe in harmony. Forests, rivers, hills, and mountains carried the echoes of heroism, loyalty, and humility, each note blending seamlessly with the next. The deeds of those both grand and humble resonated in every corner of the land, from the smallest hobbit village to the highest mountain peak. Life itself hummed softly, a lullaby of balance, hope, and enduring peace, carrying hearts gently into dreams beneath the eternal, watchful stars. A soft breeze carried the scent of pine and damp earth through the northern forests, rustling the needles of towering trees that had stood for countless centuries. Light filtered through branches in shifting patterns, painting the forest floor with gold and green. A lone traveler moved quietly among the roots and moss, pausing to observe the tiniest details. A cluster of mushrooms, the shimmer of a spider's web, the delicate flutter of a bird's wings. Even these small wonders seemed to echo the quiet harmony of the world, a reminder that life thrives in both the grand and minute. In the Shire, the evening sun bathed rolling hills in amber, casting long shadows that stretched lazily across the landscape. Hobbits moved through fields and gardens with gentle diligence, their laughter soft, their work steady. Frodo and Sam walked along a familiar path, their steps unhurried, their thoughts carried in quiet reflection. Stories of past journeys lingered in the air, unspoken yet present, like a melody underlying the daily rhythm of life. Every flower, every tree, every stone seemed to remember deeds of courage, small and great alike, carrying their essence forward in subtle harmony. Far to the east, in a secluded grove, an elf knelt beside a crystalline pool, watching the water reflect the last rays of sunlight. The surface shimmered with faint traces of ancient magic, echoes of songs long sung in hidden corners of Middle-earth. She dipped her fingers into the water, feeling the pulse of life that ran through the land, connecting river and tree, mountain and sky, creature and traveler alike. In this quiet communion, she sensed the enduring resilience of the world, a patient, eternal rhythm that had carried countless generations safely through shadow and light. High in the mountains, the dwarves' hammering rang steady in the vast halls, a rhythm that seemed to synchronize with the heartbeat of the world itself. Sparks flew like miniature stars, dancing across walls and ceilings carved with meticulous care. Each new creation, whether a simple tool or an intricate ornament, carried the memory of those who had labored before. Even in the smallest details, one could sense patience, determination, and quiet courage. A reminder that every act, however modest, contributes to the enduring harmony of Middle-earth. Rivers wound through valleys, their waters glinting in the fatting light. Fish darted beneath the surface, occasionally breaking through to catch the reflection of the sun, while reeds swayed gently along the banks. Travelers rested by the water's edge, listening to its soft murmur, feeling the reassurance that life, patient, resilient, and persistent, continued in quiet abundance. Even the most ordinary moments, like the reflection of a tree in a still pool, or the gentle lapping of water against stone, carried subtle lessons about endurance, balance, and hope. As night deepened, stars emerged in gentle succession, their faint glow illuminating mountains, forests, and rivers with a calm, silver light. Travelers paused to admire the constellations, feeling their connection to the past, to the deeds of heroes, and to the enduring rhythm of creation. The music of the Aenir whispered through leaves, water, and wind, soft yet persistent, a lullaby for hearts seeking rest and reflection. Shadows, present yet softened, served only as reminders of vigilance and courage, never as threats, teaching the world's inhabitants to act with patience and wisdom. Even as the magic of the elves faded from the wider world, subtle remnants endured. Pools shimmered with a faint glow distant forests carried the faint echo of ancient song, and mountains retained traces of those who had walked their peaks long ago. These whispers offered reassurance, a gentle lullaby that nurtured hope, reflection, and calm. Every flicker of light, every rustle of leaf, every ripple of water contributed to the eternal melody of Middle-earth, soothing hearts and minds, and guiding them gently into dreams. And so, as the world rested beneath the watchful stars, Middle-earth moved in quiet harmony. Valleys, forests, rivers, and mountains carried echoes of courage, humility, and endurance. The deeds of heroes, both great and modest, resonated softly in every corner of the lands. Life itself hummed in gentle rhythm, a lullaby of balance, hope, and enduring peace, cradling all who dwelled within its embrace, and guiding them tenderly into sleep beneath the eternal sky. Morning mist clung to the hills, softening the edges of the shire as sunlight began to filter through the haze. Dew clung to blades of grass and the petals of wildflowers, sparkling faintly like scattered gems. The air smelled of earth, growth, and the faint warmth of early sun. Hobbits moved quietly along familiar paths, their steps measured, their conversations muted, as though in respect of the gentle awakening of the land. Each motion sweeping a porch, tending a garden, filling a basket with fresh fruit, became part of a larger rhythm, an unspoken song of daily life that harmonized with the hills, rivers, and woods around them. Frodo and Sam wandered toward a glimmering stream, the water running clear and steady, carrying reflections of the morning sky. The sound of flowing water mingled with the songs of birds and the distant rustle of leaves. Frodo paused to watch a dragonfly skim the water's surface, its delicate wings catching the light. Sam chuckled softly, pointing out tiny wildflowers along the bank, marveling at their colors. In these quiet moments, the simple joys of observation and presence became as profound as any adventure. A gentle reminder that the world's beauty endures in its details. Further east, a young elf traced an ancient trail through a dense forest, roots curling over stone in patterns that had persisted for centuries. Her hands brushed the bark of trees, feeling the faint vibrations of life and memory beneath her fingertips. Birds and squirrels observed her passage without fear, their presence a testament to the trust and balance that permeated these woods. She paused at a quiet glade, sunlight spilling through a break in the canopy, illuminating a small pool whose surface reflected faint traces of old elven songs. For a moment, the forest seemed to pause with her, holding its breath in reverence for the gentle rhythm of life and history. High in the misty mountains, the dwarves labored in echoing halls carved deep within the stone. Sparks flew from the tips of hammers, ringing out in a gentle cadence that resonated through the mountain. Each carved arch, polished stone, and carefully inlaid gem bore the silent testimony of patience, dedication, and quiet courage. Even the smallest hammer strikes carried meaning, contributing to a melody of endurance that harmonized with the whispers of wind, the soft murmur of distant rivers, and the rustle of forest leaves far below. The dwarves' work, though unseen by most travelers, was a subtle thread in the ongoing tapestry of Middle-earth. Rivers wound through valleys with soft persistence, their waters glinting as they caught the morning light. Fish darted beneath the surface, occasionally breaking through to catch a falling leaf or the shimmer of sun. Travelers paused along these banks, letting the murmuring water soothe their thoughts. Even the smallest gestures, a pebble skipped across the surface, a bird landing on a branch, became part of the world's quiet rhythm. Life persisted, steady and patient, a lullaby that nurtured reflection, hope, and calm. As evening approached, the first stars began to emerge, glimmering faintly above the horizon. Shadows lengthened, softening rather than threatening, and the world seemed to exhale, releasing the warmth of the day into gentle night. Travelers paused beneath the sky, feeling their connection to the past, to those who had acted with courage and humility, and to the enduring flow of the world. The music of the Aenir whispered softly in the rustle of leaves, the sigh of the wind, and the gentle ripple of streams. Even in silence, the land carried lessons of patience, vigilance, and enduring hope. Though the magic of the elves faded from the wider world, its traces lingered in quiet places. Pools shimmered with subtle reflections, forests resonated with faint song, and mountains held the memory of those who had walked their heights long ago. These whispers offered reassurance, a gentle reminder that memory, wisdom, and hope persisted. Every flicker of light, every rustle of leaf, and every ripple of water contributed to the eternal melody of Middle-earth, calming hearts and guiding them into the serenity of night. And as darkness deepened, the lands of Middle-earth seemed to hum softly with the echoes of courage, humility, and endurance. Valleys, forests, rivers, and mountains carried the stories of heroes, both great and humble, blending seamlessly into a lullaby of balance and hope. Life itself moved in gentle rhythm, guiding all who dwelled within its embrace toward reflection, calm, and peaceful dreams beneath the eternal sky. The early light of dawn brushed across the hills, casting long, soft shadows over the Shire's green fields. Mist lingered in hollows, curling around the roots of ancient oaks and the curves of stone fences. Birds sang tentative songs, their melodies floating gently through the cool air. Hobbits moved quietly along familiar paths, carrying baskets of fruit, freshly baked bread, or bundles of flowers. Their movements were deliberate, patient, as if aware of the unspoken rhythm of the land. Each small act, tending a garden, sweeping a path, greeting a neighbor, was a note in the song of daily life, harmonizing with the hills, streams, and woods that cradled them. Frodo wandered toward a silver-threaded stream, its waters catching the morning light in a gentle shimmer. Sam walked alongside him, pausing occasionally to point out clusters of wildflowers or the playful path of a rabbit through the grass. The conversation between them was sparse, but each shared glance and quiet word carried meaning. The memories of past adventures lingered in the back of their minds, not as burdens, but as faint melodies that blended with the gentle symphony of the present. Even silence, in this place, felt full of understanding and peace. Far to the east, a young elf moved through a secluded glade, the sunlight filtering through a canopy of ancient trees. Her fingers traced the bark of towering oaks, feeling the pulse of life that ran through the forest, connecting tree to river, root to sky. A small stream trickled nearby, reflecting faint glimmers of old elven magic, a soft shimmer in the water that spoke of ages past. The elf paused to listen to the song of the forest, to the gentle rustle of leaves, and the quiet chirping of birds, and she felt a profound sense of connection to the enduring rhythms of the world. High in the misty mountains, the dwarves' hammers rang out, echoing in vast halls carved deep within the stone. Sparks flew like falling stars, dancing across walls and ceilings, intricately shaped over generations. Each creation, whether a simple tool or a grand archway, carried the memory of patient labor and courage. The sound of hammers striking stone became almost meditative, synchronizing with the distant murmur of rivers and the rustling of forests far below. Even the smallest act of craft contributed to the harmony of the land, sustaining the quiet song of Middle-earth. Rivers flowed gently through valleys, their waters reflecting the sky and the first rays of the sun. Fish darted beneath the surface, and reeds swayed with the movement of the water. Travelers paused to rest along the banks, listening to the soft murmur of the stream, letting it soothe their thoughts. Every ripple, every subtle movement of the river carried lessons of patience and continuity. Life persisted quietly, steadily, and the simplest moments, the touch of a leaf, the shimmer of sunlight on water, the flight of a bird, held profound meaning in the grand tapestry of the world. As dusk approached, stars began to pierce the twilight sky, each a distant point of calm and constancy. The world seemed to exhale, shadows softening, hills and forests resting beneath the gentle blanket of night. Travelers gazed upward, feeling a sense of continuity, of connection to those who had walked these lands before them. The music of the Aenir whispered through leaves, across rivers, and along mountainsides, a subtle lullaby for those who paused to listen. Even in shadow, there was guidance, a quiet teacher reminding all to act with courage, patience, and care. Though the magic of the elves was now faint, its presence lingered in subtle forms. Pools glimmered with ethereal light, distant forests hummed with echoes of song, and mountains retained the memory of those who had walked them long ago. These faint traces offered comfort, a gentle reassurance that memory, wisdom, and hope endure, even as ages pass. Each flicker of light, each rustle of a leaf, each ripple of water became a note in Middle-earth's eternal melody, a lullaby for hearts seeking calm and rest. And so, as night deepened, Middle-earth rested in gentle harmony. Valleys, forests, rivers, and mountains carried the echoes of courage, humility, and endurance. The deeds of heroes, both grand and humble, resonated softly throughout the land. Life moved with quiet rhythm, a lullaby of balance, hope, and enduring peace, cradling all who dwelled within its embrace, guiding them gently into dreams beneath the eternal, watchful sky. The shadow having passed, Middle-earth exhaled a long, quiet breath. Mountains, once heavy with the memory of conflict, seemed to rise with renewed dignity. Forests whispered among themselves, leaves trembling softly as though rejoicing in the return of balance. Rivers glimmered with clarity, carrying the memories of countless deeds, of courage, of sorrow, of hope across the lands. Even in the smallest streams, the music of creation lingered, subtle and enduring, a reminder that the world had endured beyond darkness. Elves, graceful and eternal, prepared for their departure. Lithlorien glimmered in the twilight of their age. Rivendell hummed softly with the wisdom of ages, and hidden sanctuaries shimmered with quiet light. They spoke little, for words were insufficient to convey the depths of experience and memory carried across countless centuries. Their songs, however, lingered gentle melodies that threaded through mountains and forests, over rivers and plains, carrying the essence of courage, endurance, and beauty. Even as they sailed westward toward the undying lands, their presence remained woven into the very fabric of the world, a lasting echo of light and hope. Men inherited a world both scarred and renewed. Kingdoms rose, guided by lessons etched in memory and tempered by patience. Cities glimmered under the sun, yet their rulers remembered the peril of ambition unchecked. Humility and wisdom became the quiet guardians of the age, as stories of past deeds, of sacrifice, courage, and resilience shaped the choices of leaders and common folk alike. Even the smallest acts, unseen by history, carried weight, echoing the melodies that had guided heroes before them, and ensuring that light remained in quiet, enduring forms. Dwarves returned to their halls, carving stone with careful hands, their craftsmanship a testament to resilience. Halls deep beneath mountains sang with the echoes of hammers and sparks, a subtle melody harmonizing with rivers above and forests beyond. In their work, they preserved both beauty and memory, their creations carrying the lessons of endurance, patience, and loyalty across the centuries. The lands themselves seemed to honor these deeds, responding with quiet vitality. Trees stood taller, rivers ran clearer, and winds whispered softly over plains, offering guidance and reflection to those who paused to listen. Hobbits returned to their simple homes, carrying the wisdom of adventure, courage, and friendship. Their lives, though humble and often overlooked, became a quiet song of resilience, a melody that spread subtly across the Shire and beyond. In gardens, along riverbanks, in quiet villages, laughter and contentment returned, small yet profound, proof that even the smallest hearts could endure and influence the grand tapestry of the world. Their stories, passed in whispered tales and songs, would inspire generations, a gentle thread woven into the larger harmony of Middle-earth. Even the stars, eternal and distant, continued their silent watch. They traced constellations shaped by the ancient music of the Aenir, turning slowly through the night sky, a reminder that time, balance, and harmony endure. Travelers who paused beneath their light felt the weight of ages and the gentle reassurance of continuity. The music of Arda persisted in wind and leaf, in river and stone, in heart and mind, soft and persistent. It spoke not of conquest or glory, but of endurance, courage, and the delicate balance between light and shadow. As the age of men deepened, magic faded into quiet memory, leaving traces in subtle places. In the shimmering waters of ancient rivers, in the echo of an elven song carried on the wind, in the lingering beauty of forests and mountains shaped by ages of care. Yet even in this fading, the melodies of the past endured, whispering lessons, hope, and gentle guidance. Those who listened closely could hear the harmony that had sustained the world through shadow and light. And in that listening, they found calm, wisdom, and peace. And so the lands of Middle-earth settled into a quiet rhythm. Mountains, forests, rivers, and stars carried memory and song. Heroes' deeds, both grand and humble, echoed softly through valleys and halls, inspiring those who would come after. The shadows, though once powerful, remained as lessons, reminders of vigilance and courage. In every leaf, every ripple, every whisper of wind, the world carried a melody that lulled hearts gently, like a lullaby for all who would rest beneath the stars. Time flowed gently over Middle-earth, unhurried and patient, carrying with it the echoes of countless deeds. Mountains stood as silent guardians, their peaks touched by morning light, their stone remembering every footstep of those who had walked before. Forests whispered softly, leaves rustling with the memory of laughter and sorrow alike. Rivers meandered through valleys, carrying both the weight of history and the gentle promise of renewal. In every corner of the world, the music of creation lingered, soft and enduring. A quiet thread binding shadow and light into harmony. The lands bore the traces of heroism, subtle yet profound. The courage of hobbits, once small and unassuming, resonated across hills and glades. Frodo's quiet determination and Sam's unwavering loyalty remained like gentle currents beneath the surface of life, shaping choices and inspiring hearts without fanfare. Aragorn's wisdom, Legola's vigilance, Gimli's steadfastness, and the deeds of countless unnamed souls wove together a tapestry of resilience that endured beyond memory. Even in simplicity, in humble acts, the world carried reminders that heroism need not be loud to be lasting. Magic, now fading, left behind traces of wonder in hidden corners. Elven songs lingered in forests and mountains, their echoes soft but persistent, carrying memory and guidance. Rivendell hummed quietly with wisdom, Lothlorien shimmered faintly in twilight, and hidden groves reflected the quiet grace of ages past. Though the great powers had withdrawn, their influence remained as a gentle melody, teaching patience, hope, and the enduring strength of balance between shadow and light. Men, now the inheritors of the world, learned from memory and example. Kingdoms rose with tempered ambition, guided by lessons written in courage and humility. Cities gleamed under the sun, yet even in beauty there was mindfulness, a quiet reflection on the cost of pride, the value of patience, and the subtle ways in which choices ripple through time. Every act of stewardship, every careful decision, became a note in the enduring song of the lands, harmonizing with rivers, mountains, and forests. The natural world responded in kind. Winds carried gentle advice across plains, brushing softly over hills and rivers. Birds sang melodies of endurance, echoing across valleys. Stars traced eternal courses, their light a constant reassurance that the slow rhythm of ages persisted. The moon reflected quiet guidance, bathing forests, rivers, and mountains in soft silver. Even the smallest creatures, from field mice to wandering deer, moved with a harmony that suggested awareness of the enduring balance that had been restored. The stories of heroism, loss, love, and hope lingered, soft as the rustle of leaves or the murmur of a river, yet deep and lasting. Tales of courage whispered through generations, shaping hearts quietly, offering guidance to those who paused to listen. The deeds of Frodo, Sam, Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, and countless others became woven into the very essence of the world, a melody of endurance and humility that resonated in every living thing. Even shadows, now weakened, served as gentle teachers, reminders that vigilance and courage must persist, even in times of peace. And so Middle-earth settled into a tranquil rhythm. Mountains, forests, rivers, and skies carried memory and melody. Heroes' acts, both grand and humble, echoed quietly through lands and hearts, offering calm and reassurance. The world, though forever marked by the trials of shadow, now carried a lullaby of harmony, patience, and gentle hope. It whispered to all who would rest beneath the stars, a song of enduring balance, a melody of courage and resilience, guiding dreams softly into night. As the age of men continued, the lands of elves slowly faded into memory. Rivers shimmered with the remembrance of countless deeds, and mountains stood tall in quiet dignity. Yet the song of creation endured, subtle but unbroken, threading through time and space, guiding hearts, inspiring courage, and inviting all to listen. For even in the quietest of moments, beneath the gentle sway of leaves, beneath the soft rush of rivers, beneath the gaze of eternal stars, the melody of Middle-earth persisted, calming, soothing, and carrying the promise of hope for all who dwelled within its embrace. Even as ages passed, Middle-earth remained alive with the echoes of those who had walked its lands. Valleys and plains held the memory of footsteps, mountains remembered the weight of countless deeds, and forests whispered with the voices of the past. Every river sang a quiet song, carrying tales of courage, loyalty, and endurance across the lands. It was a world forever shaped by the interplay of light and shadow. And in every corner, the faint resonance of the Ainur's music lingered, subtle yet enduring, guiding hearts and minds in quiet ways. the hobbits of the Shire, though small and often overlooked, continued their lives with gentle persistence. Their gardens thrived, rivers glimmered in sunlight, and their laughter carried softly across hills and meadows. Yet, beneath the ordinary rhythms of daily life lay an extraordinary understanding of courage, friendship, and hope. Frodo and Sam's journey became legend whispered quietly in homes and glades, tales of endurance that shaped generations. Even the simplest acts, planting a seed, tending a fire, offering a kind word, became part of the subtle music that bound the lands together. Men rebuilt kingdoms with care, mindful of lessons carved from centuries of struggle. Cities rose with wisdom tempered by reflection, architecture blending beauty and practicality, streets lined with memory and respect for those who had come before. Kings and leaders, aware of the fragility of power, guided their people with patience and humility. The songs of elves, though fading from Middle-earth, persisted in small, gentle ways, in architecture, in gardens, in the quiet manner of counsel and guidance offered by those who remembered the tales of old. Dwarves, deep in their stone halls, carried forward traditions of craftsmanship, creating works both practical and beautiful. Every hammer strike echoed with memory and patience, every creation a tribute to endurance and resilience. Even in their quiet diligence, they preserved the essence of ancient struggles and triumphs, a rhythm of life that harmonized with the mountains, rivers, and forests surrounding them. Their songs and stories, often unspoken, became part of the enduring melody of the world, a subtle counterpoint to the whisper of shadow that had once pressed heavily upon all lands. The natural world itself seemed to celebrate the peace that had been won. Trees grew tall and strong, leaves rustling with quiet joy. Rivers ran clear and steady, reflecting sunlight and sky alike. Winds carried gentle advice across hills and valleys, brushing softly over flowers, grass, and stone. Even the smallest creatures moved with subtle purpose, their lives harmonizing with the enduring rhythms of Arda. Birds sang melodies that had survived countless ages, their notes intertwining with the songs of rivers, the rustle of forests, and the silent turning of the stars above. And the stars themselves, eternal and unchanging, offered a quiet reminder of the vastness and continuity of the world. They traced courses across the sky, their light carrying memory, guidance, and reassurance. Travelers who paused beneath them felt the weight of history and the gentle comfort of stability. In these quiet nights, the music of creation could be heard by those who listened. Faint yet persistent, soft yet profound. A melody that carried hope, wisdom, and the calm assurance that even in darkness, balance and harmony endured. Through every valley, every glade, every quiet glimmer of sunlight on river or stone, Middle-earth carried stories of heroism, both grand and humble. Shadows remained as reminders of vigilance, courage, and resilience, but they no longer dictated the rhythm of life. Light persisted, gentle and enduring, interwoven with the memory of those who had acted with patience, loyalty, and love. In every gentle sigh of wind, in every soft ripple of water, in every whispering leaf, the world told its stories, inviting all to hear, reflect, and rest. And so, as the age of men deepened, Middle-earth settled into a rhythm both gentle and profound. Mountains stood in quiet dignity, forests breathed softly, rivers flowed patiently, and stars shone with enduring constancy. The deeds of heroes, whether known or unseen, echoed in subtle, enduring ways, creating a lullaby for all who dwelled within these lands. It was a song of balance, courage, and hope, a melody that carried gently through time, lulling hearts softly into reflection and rest. A final comfort offered by a world that had endured the ebb and flow of shadow and light. In the quiet corners of Middle-earth, life unfolded with both subtlety and depth. Valleys and meadows shimmered under the sun, rivers carried the songs of countless ages, and forests whispered secrets older than memory. Even in the smallest glade, where moss grew thick and flowers bloomed in gentle patterns, the melody of the world could be felt. It spoke of courage, patience, and quiet endurance, the enduring qualities that had shaped Middle-earth through shadow and light. The hobbits continued their lives in the Shire, carrying forward the wisdom of adventure without leaving its gentle mark. Sam tilled gardens with care. Frodo walked among friends with quiet reflection, and new generations learned the value of loyalty, courage, and humility. Every ordinary action, tending a tree, mending a path, sharing a story, became part of the subtle rhythm that harmonized with rivers, forests, and hills. Though small in stature, their lives carried significance, a testament to the enduring impact of quiet heroism. Far beyond the Shire, men governed kingdoms with newfound understanding. Cities rose thoughtfully, blending strength and grace, sunlight catching on stone and glass in patterns both beautiful and enduring. Leaders remembered lessons etched by history, the dangers of pride, the importance of counsel, and the subtle ways in which light and shadow intertwine in every decision. Their choices, made with patience and foresight, shaped the lands for generations, weaving a steady rhythm that balanced ambition with restraint. Dwarves, in their halls deep beneath mountains, continued their work of creation. Hammers rang in rhythm, sparks flew like gentle stars in darkness, and stone was shaped with care. Each creation bore the memory of endurance and courage, each hall a sanctuary of both life and song. Even the smallest acts of craftsmanship resonated beyond the walls of stone, harmonizing with the forests above, the rivers nearby, and the vast skies beyond. Through these quiet labors, the dwarves contributed to the music of the world, a subtle echo of the resilience that had shaped all lands. Forests and mountains alike seemed to respond to the enduring presence of light and hope. Trees grew tall, their roots entwined deeply in memory, their leaves whispering softly to one another. Winds carried gentle counsel across plains and valleys, brushing over grasses streams, and stones. Birds sang songs of continuity and endurance, melodies that intertwined with rustling leaves, the murmur of rivers, and the distant turning of the stars above. Even the quietest creatures, unnoticed, yet ever present, became part of the enduring rhythm, moving through life in harmony with the gentle cadence of Middle-earth. The stars, eternal and patient, traced their silent courses across the sky. They bore witness to centuries of history, carrying faint memories of heroism, courage, and quiet perseverance. Travelers beneath their light felt the pull of the past, the gentle reassurance of balance, and the quiet guidance of creation itself. The music of the Aner remained, faint yet constant, whispering in wind, leaf, river, and stone, teaching those who listened the rhythms of courage, patience, and enduring hope. Even as magic faded from Middle-earth, subtle traces remained. Elven songs lingered in forest groves, shimmering water reflected faint glimmers of ancient light, and distant mountains echoed with the enduring presence of those who had walked them long ago. These remnants of wonder were gentle reminders that the world, though changed, carried memory, wisdom, and guidance. They offered comfort to those who paused to listen, a quiet lullaby that soothed both body and spirit. In every quiet corner, stories of heroism and love endured. Shadows remained as gentle teachers, showing where vigilance and courage were necessary. Light persisted, carrying the memory of countless deeds both grand and small. Every whispering leaf, every rippling river, every turning star became part of a gentle song, a melody of hope, resilience, and peace. Middle-earth, now healed and balanced, continued to hum softly, a lullaby for all who dwelled within its embrace. Even as years passed, Middle-earth remained alive, with the quiet memory of deeds long gone, yet never forgotten. Valleys held whispers of footsteps, forests trembled with the subtle pulse of endurance, and rivers sang soft, meandering melodies of history. Every stone and leaf seemed to remember the courage of hobbits, elves, dwarves, and men alike, creating a tapestry of life woven through time. The music of the Aner persisted, faint but enduring, threading through mountains, plains, rivers, and forests, carrying calm and reflection to every living heart. In the Shire, life moved with gentle rhythm. Gardens flourished under Sam's careful hand, and Frodo walked among friends, quiet and contemplative, sharing the lessons learned on paths few could imagine. New generations grew under the soft guidance of memory, understanding the value of courage, humility, and loyalty. Every simple act, mending a fence, sharing a meal, planting a seed, became part of the enduring harmony of the land, subtle yet profound. Even the laughter of children carried echoes of great journeys, blending seamlessly with the gentle hum of rivers and the whisper of leaves. Beyond the Shire, men rebuilt their kingdoms with wisdom born of experience. Cities rose with elegance and resilience, sunlight glinting on walls and towers shaped by careful hands. Kings and leaders remembered the lessons of pride and ambition, guiding their people with patience and measured counsel. Streets and marketplaces reflected both memory and hope, where stories of past heroes became gentle teachers to those who listened. Even in the quietest moments, every decision resonated with the rhythms of balance and endurance that had carried Middle-earth through centuries of struggle. Dwarves, deep within their halls, continued their craft, each hammer strike a note in the symphony of life. Sparks flew like stars, stone was shaped with care, and halls resonated with subtle music of perseverance. Every artifact, whether hidden in shadow or proudly displayed, carried the memory of endurance and courage. Their work harmonized with forests, mountains, and rivers, forming a gentle counterpoint to the quiet pull of shadow that had once moved across the lands. Through these diligent acts, the dwarves preserved both beauty and history, ensuring that the melody of resilience endured. Forests, rivers, and mountains themselves seemed to join in the quiet celebration of peace. Trees stretched tall, their roots entwined with memory, their leaves whispering secrets of courage and hope. Winds carried messages across plains and hills, brushing softly over flowers, grasses, and stones. Birds sang songs of continuity and endurance, their melodies mingling with rustling leaves, murmuring waters, and the distant turning of stars. Even the smallest creatures, unnoticed yet essential, moved in harmony with the rhythms of the world, contributing to the ongoing melody of life. The stars above, eternal and patient, traced silent courses across skies, holding witness to centuries of triumph, loss, and perseverance. Travelers who paused beneath their glow felt the weight of history and the gentle comfort of continuity. The music of creation lingered, whispering softly through wind, leaf, river, and stone. It taught those who listened patience, courage, and enduring hope, creating a quiet, eternal lullaby for all who walked beneath the sky. Even as magic faded from Middle-earth, its traces remained subtle and profound. Elven songs lingered in forests and glades, shimmering waters reflected faint glimmers of ancient light, and mountains carried echoes of those who had walked them long ago. These remnants of wonder were gentle reminders that though the world had changed, memory, guidance, and hope persisted. They offered comfort and reflection, a soft lullaby that soothed hearts and minds alike. Through every valley, forest, river, and starlit night, the stories of heroism endured. Shadows remained as subtle teachers, guiding vigilance and wisdom, while light persisted in acts both grand and small. Leaves whispered, rivers murmured, and mountains stood in quiet dignity, carrying the melody of courage and resilience. Middle-earth, healed and balanced, hummed softly, offering calm and reflection, a lullaby for all who dwelled within its embrace, guiding them gently into dreams of hope, harmony, and enduring peace. The lands of Middle-earth settled into a rhythm, both patient and profound. Valleys stretched in soft undulations beneath the sky. Forests whispered quietly among themselves, and rivers meandered with gentle certainty. Every stone, leaf, and stream carried subtle memories of courage and endurance, resonating with the quiet heartbeat of the world. Even the smallest corners, overlooked by many, held traces of deeds, both grand and humble, reminding all who paused that history flows not only through kings and heroes, but through those who act with care, loyalty, and love. In the Shire, the hobbits continued their simple lives with profound calm. Gardens flourished under attentive hands, paths were mended and tended, and meals were shared in quiet companionship. Frodo walked among his friends with gentle reflection, carrying the memories of journeys endured and lessons learned. Sam nurtured the soil and the hearts of those around him, his steadfastness a quiet song of courage and hope. Even the smallest acts, planting seeds, repairing fences, sharing stories, became part of a broader harmony, echoing through hills, forests, and streams, weaving a melody that endured across generations. Men in their cities and kingdoms governed with measured wisdom, mindful of history and its lessons. Stone and timber reflected careful planning, sunlight glinting on walls shaped by hands tempered with patience. Kings and leaders consulted with counsel, their choices informed by memories of pride and fallibility. Markets, streets, and plazas reflected both practicality and grace, carrying echoes of the past in subtle patterns. Even quiet moments, where citizens paused in conversation or reflection, carried threads of enduring guidance, reinforcing harmony and vigilance. Dwarves, within their halls deep beneath mountains, continued to shape the world in quiet devotion. Sparks flew from hammers, stone was carved with precision, and the rhythm of work resonated through chambers, both large and small. Each artifact carried the essence of resilience and courage, every hall a sanctuary of continuity and memory. Their diligent labor harmonized with the world above, echoing through forests, mountains, and rivers. Though often unnoticed by travelers, their contributions were threads in the tapestry of Middle-earth, subtle yet enduring. Forests responded with gentle animation, their leaves rustling with quiet celebration. Rivers sang soft melodies, carrying reflections of courage, loyalty, and hope across the land. Winds moved lightly across plains and hills, brushing over grasses, flowers, and stone, carrying stories from valley to valley. Birds lifted their songs higher, notes weaving into the echoes of rivers, the rustle of leaves, and the soft turning of stars above. Even the smallest creatures, from insects to wandering deer, moved with subtle purpose, integrating seamlessly into the melody of life that shaped every corner of Middle-earth. Stars, eternal in their silent watch, traced steady courses across skies, bearing witness to centuries of triumph, loss, and perseverance. Travelers beneath them felt the weight of time, the gentle reassurance of continuity, and the persistent guidance of the world itself. The music of the Aenir lingered in every leaf, river, and stone, teaching patience, courage, and enduring hope. These lessons, soft and eternal, became a lullaby, guiding the hearts of all living beings toward reflection, calm, and peace. Even as the magic of the elves faded from Middle-earth, subtle traces remained in forests, rivers, and mountains. Songs lingered in glades, waters reflected glimmers of ancient light, and stone carried echoes of those who had walked before. These remnants served as quiet teachers, reminding those who paused that memory, wisdom, and guidance persisted, soft yet enduring. They offered comfort, reflection, and gentle reassurance, a lullaby that soothed hearts and minds, nurturing hope for the generations to come. And so Middle-earth continued, humming softly with the combined echoes of shadow and light, courage and endurance, humility and wisdom. Heroes' deeds, whether grand or humble, echoed through valleys, forests, rivers, and stars, a subtle, enduring melody. Shadows, though diminished, served as teachers of vigilance and patience, while light continued in countless small acts of care and love. The world, balanced and harmonious, carried a lullaby for all who dwelled within it, a song of calm, hope, and enduring peace, guiding dreams gently beneath the eternal sky. And so Middle-earth rested beneath the endless sky, its rivers murmuring softly, forests sighing in quiet contentment, and mountains standing steadfast in patient watch. Every creature, every leaf, every ripple of water carried the echoes of courage, friendship, and enduring hope. Though adventures had ended and heroes had returned home, their spirit lingered in the land, a calm, eternal melody that whispered of peace, reflection, and gentle wonder. And as night fully embraced the world, every heart that listened could rest, cradled by the soft, enduring lullaby of Middle-earth, carried gently into dreams beneath the starlit sky.